Welcome to Week 3, Writing Essentials. Our learning outcomes this week: identify strong thesis statements, identify topic sentences in paragraphs. Thesis statements and topic sentences. Writing essentials. While you will approach an argumentative essay differently than, say, a narrative essay about a specific event, there are certain features that all of these styles or methods have in common: a clear thesis statement, clear and logical transitions, focused body paragraphs with evidence and support, appropriate format and style if you use source material, a conclusion that expands upon your thesis and summarizes evidence, and clear writing that followed standard conventions for things like grammar, punctuation, and spelling. Thesis statements. Powerful thesis statements are an effective and important element of almost every writing assignment in college. When trying to isolate the thesis in a piece of text, consider these questions. What is the primary subject of this text? Is the author trying to inform me or persuade me? What does the author think I need to know about this subject? And why does the author think I need to know about this subject? Thesis statement. The thesis statement is the one sentence that encapsulates the result of your thinking as it offers your main insight or argument in condensed form. We often use the word argument in English courses, but we do not mean it in the sense of a verbal fight. Argument in academic sense is means taking position on an issue and supporting it with evidence. A basic thesis sentence has two main parts: the topic, what you're writing about, or angle, what your main idea is about that topic. Practice question. What is the topic and the angle of the following thesis statement? This is something you want to pause and think about. The economics of television have made the viewing experience challenging for many viewers because shows are not offered regularly. Similar programming occurs at the same time, and commercials are rampant. So go ahead and pause and think about the topic and the angle of the following thesis statement. Identifying thesis statements. Thesis statements vary based on the rhetorical strategy of the essay, but thesis statements typically share the following characteristics. 1. Presents the main idea. Most often it's one sentence, tells the reader what to expect, is a summary of the essay topic, usually worded to have an argumentative edge, written in the third person. Thesis problems to avoid. Although you have creative control over your thesis sentence, you still should try to avoid the following problems, not for stylistic reasons, but because they indicate a problem in the thinking that underlies the thesis sentence. Thesis sentence that's too broad. When the angle in a thesis statement is too broad, the writer may not have carefully thought through specific support for the rest of the writing. A thesis angle that's too broad makes it easy to fall into a trap of offering information that deviates from that angle. Thesis sentence too narrow. A narrow statistics or a narrow statement of fact doesn't offer the writer's own ideas or analysis about a topic. Topic sentences. Key sentences in academic writing do two things: establishes the main point that the rest of the paragraph supports, situates each paragraph within the sequence of the argument, a task that requires transitioning from the prior paragraph. Topic sentences have a topic and an angle, just like thesis sentences. But the angle of topic sentences usually is smaller in range rather than that of a thesis sentence. Effective paragraphs. Learning outcomes for effective paragraphs. Analyze the types and uses of evidence and supporting details in paragraphs. Describe techniques for effective paragraph transitions. Identify successful strategies for writing introductions. Identify successful strategies for writing conclusions. Effective paragraphs. Paragraphs are important for ease of reading. They help to offer ideas in chunks that the eye and the brain can more easily comprehend, as opposed to offering information in one large block of text, which is hard to read. In academic writing, paragraphs show changes in ideas or further development of ideas. Typically, paragraphs present mini ideas that develop out of the thesis sentence's main idea. They are the fundamental units of academic writing. Without good paragraphs, you simply cannot clearly convey your ideas and claims. Main ideas in paragraphs. A paragraph is composed of multiple sentences focused on a single, clearly defined topic. Paragraphs are actually organized much like persuasive papers are. After the topic or key sentence introduces the main idea, the remainder of the sentences in a paragraph should support or explain this topic. At the end of the paragraph, the author may include some sort of conclusion or a transition that sets up the next idea he or she will be discussing. Supporting ideas and details. Many authors use the PIE format to structure their essays. PIE, P-I-E. P stands for point, I for illustration, and E for explanation. The point furthers a thesis or claim. The illustration provides support for the point. The explanation tells the audience why the evidence provided further the point and or the thesis. Using evidence. Any text should provide illustrations for each of its points, but it is especially important to provide reliable evidence in an academic argument. This evidence can be based on primary source material or data, the author's own experience and or interviews, surveys, polls, experiments that she may have created and administered. Evidence can also stem from secondary source material or data, books, journals, news articles, newspapers, magazines, websites, or surveys, experiments, statistics, polls, and other data collected by others. Using evidence. How do authors decide what kinds of evidence to use? There are different types of rhetorical techniques that writers use when making claims in their writing. These appeals are referred to by their Greek names: logos, the appeal to logic; pathos or pathos, the appeal to emotion; and ethos, the appeal to authority. Logical appeals or logos. Authors using logic to support their claims will include a combination of different types of evidence: established facts, case studies, statistics, experiments, analogies and logical reasoning, citation of recognized experts on the issue. Authoritative appeals or ethos. Authors using the authority to support their claims may draw from different sources as evidence for their claims: personal anecdotes based on substantial personal experience, illustration of deep knowledge on the issue, citation of recognized experts on the issue, testimony of those involved firsthand on the issue. Emotional appeals or pathos. Authors using emotion might support their claims with some of the same kinds of evidence, but employed to achieve different ends. Touching personal anecdotes, compelling narratives, emotional or stirring testimony of those involved firsthand on the issue. Paragraphs and paragraph transitions. In writing traditional 5-paragraph essays, you may have been taught very basic transition sentences. My first point is, in conclusion, etc. In college, your professors will expect less formulaic writing. Strong transition words or phrases that indicate linkages in ideas are the keys to taking your writing to the next level and moving from the formulaic to the organic. When writing your argument, you need to lead your readers from one idea to the next, showing how these ideas are logically linked. Transition words and phrases help you keep your paragraphs and groups of paragraphs logically connected for a reader. Activity: paragraph transitions. With a partner or somebody you know at home, review a web page of your choice and try to identify as many transitions as you can. Look for transitional words and phrases. Identify one example of the following transitions: additive, adversative, causal, sequential. Introductions. There is no strict formula for composing an introduction, but effective introductions often do the following: provide background about a topic, locate readers in a specific time and or place, start with a compelling quotations or statistic, something concrete, include an ethical appeal with which you explicitly or implicitly show that you've researched your topic and are credible. Articulate a main claim or thesis, but normally after some type of build-up. Lay out the stakes for the piece of writing, that is, why the reader should bother reading on. Conclusions. Below is a list that captures these ideas and other potential goals of a conclusion. Conclusions might summarize the argument in fresh language, especially in longer pieces of writing. Bookend a story or idea that started in the introduction. Include an emotional appeal with which you explicitly or implicitly connect the logic of the argument to a more passionate reason intended to sway the reader. Issue a call to action. Make some sort of prediction or assessment about the future of your topic or future research that needs to be done on the topic. Audience awareness. Learning outcomes. Audience awareness. Describe strategies for analyzing the audience. Explore strategies for connecting with an audience through effective style, language, and rhetorical appeals. Audience awareness. Who is the audience for your writing? Often in school, students think of the teacher as their audience, and students who are good at pleasing the teacher sometimes do well at their writing because they can read this audience of one. In college and in real-world writing, you do beyond college. Reading your audience is critical to effective writing. Authors who know their intended audience and who keep in mind possible unintended audiences compose essays and arguments that are more effective at provoking a response, whether that response is simply creating an agreement with the author's position or spurring the reader to take action. Tone, language, and appeal. You can approach your audience's needs and build common ground using 3 basic rhetorical approaches: tone, language, and appeal. Tone reveals the attitude of the writer, which can range from friendly to angry, to cold to intimate. When writing a research paper and other academic writing, what is called academic discourse, you'll want to use what is called the academic voice, which is meant to sound objective, authoritative, and reasonable. Language use depends on discourse communities, the discourse community of a scientific journal versus the discourse community of text messages among friends. Logos is about appealing to your audience's logical side. Pathos is about appealing to their emotions, and ethos is about using credibility or character to underscore the appeal to your audience. Writing strong sentences. Learning outcomes. Explain techniques for writing effective sentences. Identify and use the active voice. Sentence construction. Write concise sentences. Write clear sentences. Avoid vague and unnecessary words. Vary the length of your sentences. Name the people. Use active verbs. Use parallel structure effectively. Effective use of parallelism and repetition. Using the active voice. In the simplest terms, an active voice sentence is written in the form of A does B. For example, Carmen sings the song. A passive voice sentence is written in the form of B is done by A. For example, the song is sung by Carmen. Both constructions are grammatically correct, but active voice is a more powerful kind of sentence construction for most kinds of writing. We want to use active verbs whenever possible as they allow us to express ourselves clearly, succinctly, and strongly. Active verbs imply that we're confident with what we're saying. We believe in our words. Quick review. In college, you will be expected to compose nuanced, original theses that are discovered and refined throughout the writing process. Use key or topic sentences to establish a paragraph's main point and situate the paragraph within the overall sequence of the argument. Use evidence to develop ideas and shape effective paragraphs. Use transitions to guide readers from paragraph to paragraph and idea to idea. Use instructions to orient readers to the topic. Use conclusions to provide fresh perspectives or calls to action. Consider audience and rhetoric context to influence choices of tone, language, and rhetorical appeal. Use effective sentences to communicate clearly and concisely. The end.